My creative project is entitled Agriculture Explained Through Images, and I am attempting to teach the class about the food and agriculture of the Dominican Republic through a collage of images. I chose it because my family immigrated from the DR to the United States, so I was interested to see how the agriculture that they produce has impacted what I eat in my house, even after years of being in the United States. So let's take a little trip, and let's travel to the Caribbean, where we find the Dominican Republic. It was explored and claimed by Columbus on his first voyage in 1492. It's located on the eastern two-thirds of the island of Hispaniola between the Caribbean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean. Over the past decades, DR's middle-income economy has had one of the fastest growth rates in the Northern Hemisphere. It is slightly more than twice the size of New Hampshire. It has a tropical maritime climate, and also it has little seasonal temperature variation with seasonal variation in rainfall. This can cause occasional flooding and periodic droughts. Unfortunately, the Dominican Republic is in the middle of a hurricane belt, so they are very susceptible to hurricanes, and sometimes their agriculture suffers for this. Inland, the soil is highly fertile, but the soil to the west of Santo Domingo is derived from acid clays and is not suited for agriculture. 22.65% of the land is arable land, while 10.33% of the land is encompassed of permanent crops. Some environmental issues that exist in the Dominican Republic are deforestation, as you can see in the top left corner. If you fly over the island, you can literally tell where Haiti ends and Dominican Republic begins just by the deforestation. Unfortunately, the deforestation is creeping from Haiti into the United States as Haiti runs out of trees to cut down. Other problems include water shortages and erosion of the soil. They're trying to combat the water shortages, much like other countries like Australia that we learned about, through the irrigation of the land. And 2,590 square kilometers of land is irrigated in the Dominican Republic. Due to this, they can have a fertile production. For example, the Caribbean coastal plain is the center of the country's cattle raising and sugar industries, and that's up here. There's fertile soil here, so this leads to intensive agriculture, and shallower soils provide good pasture. There's an area called the Cibao Valley, which is located in this region, and it is the main agriculture center of the Dominican Republic. Agriculture encompasses 11.5% of GDP, and it employs 14.6% of the labor force. As you can see, this is the least in all of the sectors in the Dominican Republic, which is a problem for them. So their government is trying to make plans to further the agricultural development of the country. The agriculture's share of GDP has declined over recent decades due to increased competition from imports as a result of tariff cuts and an unfavorable exchange rate, and also due to the effects of severe tropical storms. However, the government and other sectors, for example, the private sector and the international development agencies, have helped stimulate the agricultural sector. They have reoriented the agricultural sector, in the Dominican Republic towards more diversified production and a more efficient agro-industry. The organic farming in the Dominican Republic is growing. Now it encompasses for 4% of all the agro-export earnings, and this is significant because this was a practice once only practiced informally by the very poor farmers. During the last decade, the Dominican Republic has become an important exporter of niche agricultural products such as quality organic coffee, organic cacao, and bananas. This increase in non-traditional crops and organic products is changing the agricultural product profile of the country. Now, the Dominican Republic has 14,000 organic farmers. It is in one of the largest organic sectors in Latin America. Only Mexico and Peru have more organic producers than the DR. Crop farming accounts for about 55% of the agricultural output. This is followed by livestock, which encompasses 40%, and fishing and forestry, which account for 5% of the agricultural production. The largest and most important commercial crop is sugarcane. However, like Fiji, the sugar industry is in trouble due to slumping world prices. Even if it's the second largest Caribbean producer of sugarcane after Cuba, their output of sugar has declined annually since 1982, and land is gradually being taken out of sugar production and switched to food crops. The leading cash crop, however, is coffee. A lot of the coffee plantations have been destroyed by hurricanes, like the hurricane of 1979 through 80 were really particularly bad. But however, they have managed to increase the productivity per hectare. So even if a lot of the crops got destroyed, they still made a lot of money. In 2001, they made $11 million off their coffee exports. Cocoa and tobacco and bananas are also grown for exports. And here you can see cocoa, a guy picking cocoa, and this is a tobacco farm. There's a lot of other exports because the government and the private sector are emphasizing diversification to non-traditional agricultural crops, such as fresh fruits, like you can see the pineapple and the bananas on top, and vegetables and flowers, which on the bottom left-hand corner, that is the farming of cassava, and on the top right-hand corner is rice. The largest primary export recipient of the Dominican Republic is the United States. They take in about 85% of the agricultural goods produced in the Dominican Republic. This is followed by South Korea, which have 2.1%, and Canada, which have 1.9% of the exports. There has been a big impact of culture on farming. Most people no longer want to go into farming in the Dominican Republic. They're more interested in the service jobs. So the service sector has overtaken the agriculture sector as the economy's largest employer, and this is largely due to a huge emphasis being placed on trade and tourism and the free trade zone. A very important problem with agriculture in Dominican Republic is land tenure. It's highly concentrated in the hands of a small proportion of producers. 6% of agricultural producers control about 70% of the agricultural land. In contrast, only about 80% of the farmers own less than 8% of the land. So most of these large producers are owned by the government, especially in the sugar industry. There's been the important reform to try to correct this problem. In 1962, there was a land reform program instituted to redistribute 178,602 hectares of land to 36,480 farmers. The government was trying to encourage a fuller use of the nation's arable land through extensive land clearing and irrigation projects and diversification of crops. Some mechanization has taken place on the large plantations, but primitive techniques are generally used throughout the country. Moreover, in 1973, the Integrated Agricultural and Livestock Development Plan was initiated. It was designed to provide credit and technical aid to 45,000 small farmers, improve side roads, and study the country's water resources. Improving the side roads is very significant because the level of the rivers in the Dominican Republic are really low, so you can't really use them for transportation. Most of the crops are transported by truck, and if you don't have good roads and infrastructure, then your export market is not going to be happy because their crops are going to be spoiled by the time they get there. So they tried to provide extension of farm credits, reforestation, manpower for training and irrigation projects, and reorganization of the Dominican Agrarian Institute. So this has been an overview of the agriculture of Dominican Republic. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.